The size of your success is determined by the size of your belief. Let that sink in for a moment. The size of your success is determined by the size of your belief. Most people live with small beliefs and as a result live small lives. But that's not going to be you anymore, not after today. You see, I've studied successful people for over 40 years. I've looked at the millionaires and the champions, the innovators and the leaders. And do you know what they all have in common? They all face tremendous odds. Every single one of them. There wasn't a single extraordinary success story that didn't include chapters of difficulty, doubt, and seeming impossibility. The question isn't whether you'll face obstacles. The question is what you'll do when you face them. Will you retreat? Will you make excuses? Or will you rise and overcome? Most people, when faced with a challenge, immediately look for ways to explain why they can't succeed. The economy is bad. I don't have the right education. I don't know the right people. I don't have enough time. I call these excuses the great litany of alibis. They sound reasonable. They sound logical. But they're poison to your potential. Winners, on the other hand, look at the same circumstances and ask, how can I make this work? What can I learn here? What's the opportunity hidden in this problem? That shift in perspective makes all the difference in the world. Here's something I want you to write down. Circumstances do not make the man, they merely reveal him to himself. The way you respond to difficulty doesn't just determine your results, it reveals your character. Let me share something personal with you. When I was a young man, I was broke, discouraged, and didn't know which way to turn. I had a young family to support and dreams that seemed impossible to achieve. Then one day, a mentor of mine asked me a question that changed everything. He said, Jim, if you don't change, will your future be any better than your present? That question hit me like a lightning bolt. I realized in that moment that if I wanted things to change, I had to change. If I wanted things to get better, I had to get better. That's the foundation of winning against all odds, understanding that success isn't about circumstances, it's about growth. Most people want their circumstances to change without changing themselves. That's like waiting for the crops without planting any seeds. It just doesn't work that way. The universe responds to action, to growth, to change from within. Now, let's talk about the mindset of a winner. Winners aren't people who never fail, they're people who never quit. Every successful person I've ever met has a story of failure, often multiple stories. The difference is they didn't let failure define them, they let it refine them. Thomas Edison failed 10,000 times before he successfully invented the light bulb. When asked how it felt to fail so many times, he said, I didn't fail 10,000 times. I successfully found 10,000 ways that won't work. That's the mindset of a winner. Colonel Sanders was rejected 1,009 times before someone accepted his chicken recipe. Can you imagine that? Over 1,000 rejections. Most people would have quit after 10 rejections, let alone 1,000. But he persisted, and today KFC is known worldwide. That's winning against all odds. Let me tell you something else about winning. When everything seems against you, you've got to have a clear vision of what you want. Vague goals produce vague results. Most people's goals are so fuzzy that even if they achieve them, they wouldn't recognize their success. Be specific about what you want. Write it down. Look at it every day. The act of writing clarifies your thinking. The act of reviewing keeps your goals at the forefront of your mind. Most people think about what they don't want. Winners think about what they do want. Here's a simple exercise. Take out a piece of paper right now and write down the 5 most important goals in your life. Be specific. Don't write, I want to be successful. Write, I want to earn $100,000 a year by December 31st doing work I love. Don't write, I want to be in better shape. Write, I want to run a marathon in under 4 hours by next spring. Clarity is power. When you're crystal clear about what you want, your brain automatically starts finding ways to make it happen. That clarity becomes a compass that guides you through the storms of life. And let me tell you, there will be storms. There will be days when nothing seems to go right. There will be moments when you want to quit. That's why you need more than just goals. You need reasons. The difference between people who achieve their goals and people who don't isn't just in the quality of their goals. It's in the strength of their reasons. When your reasons are strong enough, you'll find a way. When they're not, you'll find an excuse. Ask yourself, why do I want to achieve this goal? What will it mean for my life? What will it mean for my family? What will it mean for my legacy? The deeper and more meaningful your reasons, the more resilient you'll be when facing obstacles. I remember talking to a gentleman who had lost 200 pounds. I asked him how he did it, expecting to hear about some revolutionary diet or exercise program. Instead, he told me I finally found a reason stronger than my excuses. His daughter had asked him if he would be alive to walk her down the aisle when she got married. That question hit him hard, and he decided then and there to change his life. His reason was stronger than his excuses. That's what you need to win against all odds, reasons that are stronger than your excuses. Reasons that get you out of bed in the morning. Reasons that keep you going when times get tough. Now let's talk about something most people don't want to hear. Winning against all odds requires discipline. Discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishments. Without it, even the most ambitious goals remain nothing but dreams. Most people confuse discipline with enjoyment. They think if I don't enjoy doing something, I must not be disciplined enough to do it. But that's not how discipline works. Discipline is doing what needs to be done even when you don't feel like doing it. The successful businessman doesn't always feel like reviewing financial reports. The champion athlete doesn't always feel like training. The accomplished writer doesn't always feel like writing. What sets them apart is they do it anyway. They've mastered the art of doing what needs to be done regardless of how they feel. Let me share a simple but powerful formula with you. Discipline equals remembering what you want. When you're tempted to procrastinate, when you're tempted to take the easy way out, remember what you want. Remember your goals, remember your reasons. That fuels discipline. Winners also understand the power of incremental progress. They know that massive success doesn't happen overnight. It happens one small step at a time, one day at a time, one decision at a time. Most people overestimate what they can do in a year and underestimate what they can do in 10 years. They want instant results, and when they don't get them, they quit. Winners play the long game. They understand that consistent daily progress, even if it seems small at the time, compounds into extraordinary results over time. Let me give you an example. If you save just $100 a month, starting at age 25, with a modest 8% return, you'll have over $300,000 by age 65. If you wait until age 35 to start, you'll have less than $140,000. The difference isn't just in the amount you invest, it's in the power of compounding over time. The same principle applies to every area of life. Reading just 10 pages means you'll read about 3,650 pages in a year. That's about 12 books. In 10 years, that's 120 books. Do you think reading 120 books on your field would make a difference in your career? Absolutely it would. Exercising just 30 minutes a day might not seem like much, but over a year, that's 182.5 hours of physical activity. Do you think that would make a difference in your health? Without question. Small disciplines repeated with consistency every day lead to great achievements gained slowly over time. Winning against all odds isn't about making one big heroic effort. It's about making small, consistent efforts day after day after day. But here's the challenge. These small disciplines are easy to do, but they're also easy not to do. It's easy to read 10 pages, but it's also easy not to read them. It's easy to save $100, but it's also easy not to save it. It's easy to exercise for 30 minutes, but it's also easy not to exercise. The difference between winners and losers isn't in what they know, it's in what they do with what they know. Knowing isn't enough, doing is essential. Another key aspect of winning against all odds is learning to manage your emotions. Life is 10% what happens to you and 90% how you respond to it. When you face setbacks, and you will face setbacks, your emotional response will determine whether those setbacks become stopping points or stepping stones. Most people let their emotions drive their decisions. They feel discouraged, so they quit. They feel afraid, so they don't start. They feel uncomfortable, so they retreat to what's familiar. Winners, on the other hand, learn to manage their emotions rather than being managed by them. How do you do that? First, by understanding that emotions are triggered by thoughts. Change your thoughts, and you change your emotions. Second, by focusing on what you can control rather than what you can't. You can't always control circumstances, but you can control your response to them. Third, by developing emotional resilience through daily practices like gratitude, reflection, and self-care. And fourth, by surrounding yourself with people who lift you up rather than drag you down. Your environment shapes your emotions more than you might realize. Speaking of environment, let's talk about the power of association. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Their habits, their attitudes, their incomes, their outcomes, all of these things influence you whether you realize it or not. If you want to win against all odds, you need to be intentional about who you allow into your life. Seek out people who inspire you, challenge you, and support your growth. Minimize time with those who drain your energy, discourage your dreams, or reinforce limiting beliefs. This doesn't mean you cut people out of your life completely. It means you're strategic about how much influence they have over your thinking and your decisions. Some people you might need to see less often. Others you might need to see in different contexts. Still others you might need to have different conversations with. Remember, it's not just about who you spend time with, it's about what you talk about during that time. Are your conversations focused on problems or solutions? On the past or the future? On limitations or possibilities? Winners have winner conversations. Now, let's address something that stops many people from winning against the odds: fear. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of criticism, fear of the unknown. These fears can paralyze you if you let them. But here's the truth about fear. It's based on predictions that haven't happened yet and might never happen. Fear is often false evidence appearing real. It feels real, but it's usually just an imagination gone wild. Winners don't eliminate fear, they act despite it. They understand that courage isn't the absence of fear, it's the triumph over it. As Nelson Mandela said, I learned that courage was not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. The brave man is not he who does not feel afraid, but he who conquers that fear. How do you conquer fear? By taking action. Action cures fear. When you take action, you replace the unknown with the known. You replace anxiety with experience. You replace paralysis with momentum. Start small if you need to, but start. Make that phone call. Send that email. Have that conversation. Take that class. Apply for that position. Each action builds confidence for the next action. Another enemy of winning against the odds is procrastination. Procrastination is the thief of time, the assassin of opportunity, the killer of dreams. It's not just about putting things off, it's about putting life off. Most people procrastinate because they overwhelm themselves with the size of the task. They look at the mountain they need to climb and think, I can't do that. But you don't climb a mountain in one giant leap, you climb it one step at a time. Break big tasks into small, manageable chunks. Focus on progress, not perfection. Use the power of deadlines to create urgency, and most importantly, just start. Often the hardest part of any task is simply beginning it. As Lao Tzu said, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Take that step today, not tomorrow, not next week, not when you feel ready. Because here's a secret, you'll never feel 100% ready for the important things in life. Ready is a myth. Start now. Now, I want to talk about something that's often overlooked in discussions about success, the power of failure. Yes, you heard me right. Failure, when approached correctly, is one of your greatest assets on the path to winning against all odds. Most people try to avoid failure at all costs. They play it safe. They stick to what they know. They never venture into the unknown because they're afraid of failing. But winners understand that failure isn't fatal. It's formative. It's not the end, it's education. Every failure contains a lesson. Every setback contains a setup for a comeback. Every mistake contains the seed of an equivalent or greater benefit if you have the wisdom to look for it. When Colonel Sanders was rejected for the 100th time, he didn't quit. When Thomas Edison found the 5,000th way not to make a light bulb, he didn't give up. When Abraham Lincoln lost his 8th election, he didn't decide politics wasn't for him. They persisted because they understood that failure is part of the process, not the end of it. Here's a powerful exercise. The next time you fail at something, ask yourself, what's the lesson here? What can I learn from this that will help me succeed next time? That simple shift in perspective turns failures from stop signs into stepping stones. Remember, failure is an event, not a person. Just because you fail doesn't mean you are a failure. It means you're growing, learning, stretching, becoming, and that's what winners do. Another crucial element in winning against all odds is the power of faith. Now, I'm not necessarily talking about religious faith, although that can certainly be part of it. I'm talking about faith in yourself, faith in your abilities, faith in your future. Faith is the ability to see the invisible, to believe the incredible, to attempt the impossible. It's the foundation upon which all great achievements are built. Without faith, you'll give up at the first sign of trouble. With faith, you'll persevere until you succeed. How do you develop this kind of faith? By keeping promises to yourself. Each time you say you'll do something and you do it, you build faith in yourself. Each time you face a fear and overcome it, you build faith in yourself. Each time you learn a new skill or solve a difficult problem, you build faith in yourself. Faith isn't built in grand, dramatic moments. It's built in small, consistent acts of courage and integrity. It's built in the daily decisions to keep going when giving up would be easier. And let me tell you something important. Your faith needs to be bigger than your fears. Your dreams need to be bigger than your doubts. Your commitment needs to be stronger than your comfort zone. Because here's the reality, life will test your faith. It will test your resolve. It will test your commitment. And in those moments of testing, what you believe about yourself and your possibilities will determine whether you push through or give up. Winners have unshakable faith. Not because they're naive or unrealistic, but because they've developed the muscle of belief through consistent exercise. They've trained themselves to see possibilities where others see problems. Now, let's talk about something practical, the power of preparation. Luck, they say, is what happens when preparation meets opportunity. If you want to win against all odds, you need to be prepared when opportunity knocks. Most people want opportunities but aren't willing to prepare for them. They want the promotion but haven't developed the skills needed for the next level. They want the big break but haven't put in the groundwork to capitalize on it. They want success but aren't prepared for its demands. Winners, on the other hand, prepare relentlessly. They develop their skills even when no one is watching. They educate themselves continuously. They practice, refine, and improve, not just until they get it right, but until they can't get it wrong. I remember talking to a successful musician who said, "I practice 8 hours a day so I can be spontaneous for 5 minutes on stage." That's the mindset of a winner. They understand that what looks like overnight success to others is usually the result of years of behind-the-scenes preparation. How are you preparing today for the opportunities of tomorrow? What skills are you developing? What knowledge are you acquiring? What relationships are you building? What habits are you forming? Your preparation today determines your success tomorrow. Another key to winning against all odds is the power of adaptability. In today's rapidly changing world, it's not the strongest survive nor the most intelligent, but those most responsive to change. Most people resist change. They cling to what's familiar even when it's not working. They keep doing the same things even when those things produce diminishing returns. They hold on to outdated ideas, methods, and approaches even in the face of new realities. Winners, however, embrace change. They see it not as a threat, but as an opportunity. They understand that to grow, they must be willing to let go of what they are to become what they can be. Adaptability doesn't mean abandoning your values or your vision. It means being flexible in your methods while remaining committed to your mission. It means being willing to take a different path to the same destination when the original path becomes blocked. The businesses that survived the digital revolution weren't necessarily the biggest or the richest. They were the ones that adapted fastest to changing consumer behaviors. The individuals who thrive in changing job markets aren't just the ones with the most impressive resumes. They're the ones who continuously update their skills. How adaptable are you? When circumstances change, do you resist or respond? When new information becomes available, do you adjust your approach or cling to what you've always believed? Your capacity to adapt may be one of your greatest assets in winning against the odds. Let's talk now about the power of service. It might seem counterintuitive, but one of the surest ways to succeed against all odds is to focus not on what you can get, but on what you can give. Most people approach success with a "what's in it for me" mentality. They're primarily concerned with their own benefits, their own gains, their own rewards. But that approach is limited and limiting. Winners understand that true success comes through service to others. The more people you serve, the more successful you become. The more problems you solve for others, the more valuable you become. The more value you create, the more rewards you attract. This isn't just feel-good philosophy, it's practical business and life advice. Look at any truly successful person or organization, and you'll find at the core a commitment to serving others, to adding value, to making a difference. Zig Ziglar put it perfectly when he said, "You can have everything in life you want if you will just help other people get what they want." That's the paradox of success. It comes most readily to those who aren't chasing it directly, but are instead focused on contribution. Ask yourself, how can I serve more? How can I add more value? How can I make a bigger difference? The answers to those questions will lead you to greater success than any self-centered strategy ever could. Another essential element in winning against all odds is the power of persistence. Persistence is to character what carbon is to steel. It adds a hardness that resists the hammer blows of life. Most people give up too soon. They start with enthusiasm but quit when the novelty wears off or when difficulties arise. They're like farmers who plant in the spring, abandon their fields in the summer, and then wonder why there's no harvest in the fall. Winners, however, persist. They understand that Many of life's failures are people who didn't realize how close they were to success when they gave up. They know that persistence is not just about continuing to try, it's about continuing to learn, adjust, and grow through the process. Calvin Coolidge said it well, nothing in this world can take the place of persistence. Talent will not, nothing is more common than unsuccessful men with talent. Genius will not, unrewarded genius is almost a proverb. Education will not, the world is full of educated derelicts. Persistence and determination alone are omnipotent. Think about water for a moment, soft, yielding water. Yet over time it can cut through solid rock, not through force but through persistence. Drop by drop, day after day, year after year, continues its patient work until even the hardest stone gives way. Be like water in your persistence. Don't try to overcome obstacles with brute force alone. Use the gentle, consistent pressure of daily disciplines applied with patience and persistence over time. Few obstacles can withstand such an approach. Now, let's discuss something that's often overlooked in success literature, the power of authenticity. Winning against all odds isn't about becoming someone else. It's about becoming the best version of yourself. Most people spend their lives trying to be what they think others want them to be. They chase success formulas and copy the styles of those who've succeeded before them without considering whether those approaches align with their unique strengths, values, and purposes. Winners, on the other hand, have the courage to be themselves. They understand that there's no power in imitation, but tremendous power in authenticity. They know their strengths and play to them. They acknowledge their weaknesses and either improve them or build teams that complement them. Oscar Wilde said, "Be yourself, everyone else is already taken." That's not just clever wordplay, it's profound advice for anyone who wants to succeed against the odds. Your uniqueness isn't a liability, it's your greatest asset. What makes you different? What perspectives, experiences, talents, or approaches set you apart? Those differences, when embraced rather than hidden, become your competitive advantage in life and business. Let me share something else about winning against all odds. It requires taking responsibility. Total, complete, unqualified responsibility for your life and your results. Most people are quick to take credit for their successes, but even quicker to blame others for their failures. They blame the economy, the government, their boss, their upbringing, their circumstances, anything and anyone but themselves. Winners take 100% responsibility for their lives. They understand that while they can't always control what happens to them, they always control how they respond. They know that blaming others may feel good temporarily, but keeps them trapped in a victim mentality. When you take responsibility, you take back your power. You move from being a passenger in your life to being the driver. You stop asking, why is this happening to me? And start asking, what can I do about this? How can I use this? What's the opportunity here? This kind of responsibility isn't about blame, it's about empowerment. It's not saying everything is your fault. It's saying everything is your opportunity. It's not carrying the weight of the world, it's carrying the keys to your own freedom. Now, let's talk about something that's essential for sustained success, the power of renewal. Winning against all odds isn't just about pushing harder, it's also about renewing yourself so you can continue the journey. Most people run themselves ragged. They push and push until they burn out. They sacrifice health for wealth, relationships for achievements, and balance for success, only to discover that without health, wealth loses its luster. Without relationships, achievements feel hollow, and without balance, success feels empty. Winners understand the importance of renewal. They know that the quality of their lives and the sustainability of their success depend on their ability to renew themselves physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. Physical renewal comes through proper nutrition, regular exercise, adequate sleep, and stress management. Mental renewal comes through continuous learning, creative pursuits, and intellectual challenges. Emotional renewal comes through meaningful relationships, expression of feelings, and emotional intelligence. Spiritual renewal comes through connection to something larger than yourself, whether through religion, nature, art, service, or meditation. Without renewal, even the most dedicated person will eventually falter. As Stephen Covey put it, you need to sharpen the saw regularly if you want to continue cutting effectively. How well are you renewing yourself? Are you making time for the activities and relationships that replenish your energy and restore your perspective? Or are you running on empty, wondering why your efforts aren't producing the results they once did? Remember, winning against all odds isn't a sprint, it's a marathon. And marathons require not just endurance, but wise pacing and regular replenishment. Let me share one more crucial element in winning against all odds, the power of decision. Your life changes the moment you make a new, congruent, and committed decision. Most people make wishes, not decisions. They say, I hope things get better. I wish I had more money. I'd like to be in better shape. But wishes without decisions are like clouds without rain, full of promise, but empty of power. Winners make real decisions, and real decisions have three characteristics. First, they're made consciously rather than by default. Second, they're congruent with your values and goals rather than conflicting with them. And third, they're committed to rather than just considered. When you truly decide something, you cut off all other possibilities. The word decide comes from the Latin word decider, which means to cut off. When you decide, you cut off the possibility of not doing it. You burn the bridges of retreat. You commit yourself fully. Think about some of the major decisions in your life: who to marry, what career to pursue, where to live. Those decisions shaped everything that followed. In the same way, your decisions today will shape your tomorrow. What decisions have you been postponing? What changes have you been contemplating but not committing to? What improvements have you been wishing for but not deciding on? Make those decisions today. Not tomorrow, not next week, not when the time is right, today. Because here's the truth: your life right now is the result of the decisions you've made up to this point. If you want a different life, make different decisions. In closing, let me remind you of something important. Winning against all odds isn't about luck or magic or even talent. It's about applying these principles consistently, day after day, regardless of circumstances. It's about having a clear vision of what you want and powerful reasons why you want it. It's about developing the discipline to do what needs to be done even when you don't feel like it. It's about making incremental progress every day and understanding the power of compounding over time. It's about managing your emotions rather than being managed by them. It's about surrounding yourself with people who lift you up rather than drag you down. It's about facing your fears and taking action despite them. It's about overcoming procrastination by breaking big tasks into small, manageable chunks. It's about seeing failure as education, not as the end. It's about developing unshakable faith in yourself and your possibilities. It's about preparing relentlessly for the opportunities of tomorrow. It's about adapting to change rather than resisting it. It's about focusing on service to others rather than on what you can get. It's about persisting when others quit. It's about having the courage to be authentic rather than trying to be someone else. It's about taking 100% responsibility for your life and your results. It's about renewing yourself physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. And it's about making real decisions that change the trajectory of your life. These principles aren't complicated, but they're also not easy. They require commitment, practice, and continuous refinement. But I promise you this: if you apply them consistently, you will win against the odds. You will succeed where others fail. You will triumph where others surrender. And in the process, you'll not just create extraordinary results, you'll become an extraordinary person. Because that's the ultimate purpose of challenges and obstacles: not to stop you, but to strengthen you, not to defeat you, but to develop you, not to break you, but to build you. The odds you face today are not your enemies, they're your opportunities. They're not meant to define your limitations, but to reveal your potential. They're not designed to keep you down, but